What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Abita Brewing Company, and they are out of Abita Springs, Louisiana, and this is their Purple Haze. So this is a raspberry lager that comes in at 4.2% alcohol by volume, 13 IBUs at the time of review. This can is just under 3.5 months old. So when it comes to Abita beers, there are two that stand out for me because they are two beers that I saw a lot back in the early 2010s when I first started really getting into craft beer. This beer and their Turbodog. I reviewed their Turbodog last year, so I thought it was finally time to give Purple Haze a go. So full disclosure, I've had this one numerous times before, and I want to give a huge thanks and shout out to a very good friend of mine and viewer of the channel, Curtis, because he mentioned, I think it was in the, I did a review of Magic Hat number 9, and he mentioned that kind of brought up memories of him being in college in the late 2000s into the early 2010s, and certain beer bars by his college having different offerings, and one of the beers he mentioned was Purple Haze, and it kind of sparked kind of a memory in my mind. I was like, you know what, I haven't reviewed that, so he kind of gave me the inspiration to review this one. Now recently I actually bought a mixed 12-pack of different beers from Abita, a variety pack that included this, their strawberry lager, their blueberry wheat, and their Barney, which is a blend of this and their Andy Gator for my dad. My dad loves fruit beers, and Purple Haze is one of his favorite fruit beers in general. And he threw me a can of this so I could review it. So thanks, Dad. I do appreciate it. Anyway, we're going to crack this one open, get in the glass, see what we got going on. Again, just a raspberry lager. I never loved this beer. I think the last time I had it on Untapped, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I find it to be, pretty solid, but I've always found this one to be quite light at 4.2%. The raspberry character usually, isn't overwhelming in this one. So if you like, I always feel like if you like lighter, like fruit beers, or fruited lagers, that you would probably enjoy this one to some degree. So yeah, anyway, pour it in the glass, and as you can see, it has this beautiful hazy kind of, it's like a hazy golden color, but again, because it's a lager and there's raspberries in here, and they do say they use real raspberries, it has kind of a, almost like a very light, like pinkish hue kind of tone to it. Hold it up to the light, can't really see anything through it. Very fine particulates throughout the entire glass, just floating around. It had about a finger of a bright white, somewhat creamy looking head that is now dissipated to a thin film. But I would say, as far as like a raspberry lager goes, I think that looks pretty good. I'm sure a lot of people would like to see that look, straight on, red or something similar. But it is what it is. I think it looks pretty nice as a whole. So let's get a nose. Yeah, I mean, very simplistic. It has this fresh, fruity kind of raspberry jam nose with an underlying like bready kind of, like almost like a wheat bread. Like if you smeared raspberry jam on wheat bread, but not that sweet. And again, you can't really smell sweetness. So, but it just kind of has that kind of vibe to it. But it does smell like fresh raspberries. Again, somewhat like seedy, fresh, kind of over-ripened raspberries. And again, the lager, very simplistic, bready. And that's pretty much it. I mean, this doesn't have a big nose, but again, it's a raspberry lager at 4.2%. I'm not expecting the world here, so let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. And thanks to Pops for this can. Listen, this will never be my favorite beer. This will probably never be a beer that like I clamor for or anything, but it's decent. It's solid. I understand why people enjoy this one, without question. I know why this is one of my dad's favorite fruited beers, for sure. Body this is like higher side of light, lower side of medium, 4.2%. It's appropriate. The mouthfeel has a nice, moderate, crisp kind of carbonation, but it's at the same time has a soft, almost smooth sensation. It's not a smoothie. So I do think the body and mouthfeel are appropriate for 4.2%, and I think the mouthfeel is actually pretty nice. But the taste, I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you. This is what I usually say. I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you when I start talking about a beer that has only a couple characteristics. Front to back, jammy, sweet, slightly tart, raspberries, fresh raspberries. Doesn't taste like an extract. Doesn't taste like natural flavors or artificial flavors. It actually has a freshness to it. Underlying bready kind of malt character. It's very clean on the palate, super crisp, quite refreshing. A lot of people in the US are experiencing heat waves and crazy temperatures and stuff. This is going down right now very easily because of the warmer weather. Not overly sweet, has semi to full on dry finish. Very mild bitterness, not much bitterness to speak of, but that dryness really helps balance it out. Yeah, it's decent. It's solid. It's nothing that I would ever go nuts about, but I think it's a well-made, well-brewed, good raspberry lager. And I think that's kind of what they're going for. So yeah, kudos to Abita, Purple Haze. 4.2%, you really can't tell. So Purple Haze from Abita, I'm going to give this a high 3.5. I'll go 3.6. I typically give this in like a 3.5. I used to give it a 3. I had it on tap last time that I had it, and I gave it a 3.5. This is pretty solid for what it is, but I'll never clamor for it. I think for a raspberry lager, this is probably like a 3.9 to a 4 out of 5. If you like fruited lagers or fruited beers in general, sub 5%, that aren't overwhelming with like an artificial or natural flavor from the fruits, because a lot of them, that's what they are, I say give this one a go. And the price point and availability are fantastic, which we'll talk about in a second. So this, again, that aforementioned mixed, the variety pack, 12 pack, I think it was like $20, and that's a fine price point to try out 4 different beers, 3 of each. Now, when you buy this as a single or as a 6-pack here in the Buffalo, New York area, typically $10, $9.99 a 6-pack, whether it's bottles or cans. So I think that's a pretty good deal for what you're getting. It's basically a lager with raspberry. Sure, I think that's fine. And then availability, I'm pretty sure Abita has like a beer finder. If not, if you do get Abita, there's a pretty good chance you get this one. Like I said, this one and Turbodog are like always readily available here in the Buffalo, New York area. Sometimes I think they're amber and then they're seasonals. I do see the strawberry lager occasionally. They're amber, the Christmas ale when it comes out in the fall, winter. But yeah, for the most part, it's Purple Haze and Turbodog. Your mileage may vary depending upon where you live, but for me, Purple Haze is always readily available. I can typically buy it whenever I want. So if you've had this one before, post in the comment section. Let me know what you think about it. Depending upon if my dad finishes off that variety pack in the next month or two, maybe next month I'll review one of the other ones. So here's the thing. Out of the strawberry lager, blueberry wheat, and that Barney, which one would you want me to review for next month's shelfie beers if I do grab this or review another one from Abita? I would probably lean towards the Barney. I'd like to see that mix between the Andy Gator and this beer. Never had Andy Gator, believe it or not, so maybe I need to review that first, but we'll see. Anyway, appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. Once again, this was the first shelfie beer review for the month of July 2024, and I think it's a pretty solid one. Thanks to Curtis for the inspiration. Thanks to my pops for hooking me up with a can. Till the next one. Cheers.